Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Phoenix, Arizona, it's time for Phoenix Business Radio, spotlighting the city's best businesses and the people who lead them.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mike Polton with the law firm of Polton & Royan, and I'm here with my wife, Rochelle Polton, with Arizona Credit Law Group and X Firm. We have with us today Kenyatta Turner, an independent associate with LegalShield and also a very good friend of ours. And welcome to LAWGITIMATE. We're here to talk today about multi-level marketing and making it work for you as a business. Kenyatta is a very successful multi-level marketing person. She's been with LegalShield for many, many years. And as attorneys, both Rochelle and I are pretty interested to talk to Kenyatta about her experience with LegalShield, which is a very different aspect of the legal industry, and it's a multi-level marketing company. So we're going to learn all about MLMs today, all about LegalShield, and talk about how this works for everybody. Welcome, Kenyatta.
Hey, thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
So give us the ins and outs of the awesome Kenyatta. We've known you for a few years. We've served on boards together, and you're all around super impressive. So please tell our listeners why.
Oh, my gosh. Where do I begin? Well, it all started back in 1970-something. Actually, I am glad to be here on the show with you guys. So thanks again for having me here. And there's some things that I'll share here about a little bit about what I do and why I do it. But I have had the past 6 years or so working with a company like LegalShield. But before that, just know where it came from. I worked in colleges. So for 20 years, I ran schools, basically. And I had a great opportunity to work with thousands of students, helping them get into our colleges, go through that process, get through graduation, and then help them find jobs. So every area of that life cycle I spent in. But it was about actually June of 2014. So this year will be 6 years, basically, when I jumped off a cliff and quit my job, left all that behind, didn't want to work 60, 70, 80 hours a week working for somebody else, building their empires. It was time to build my own. And I left. Actually, I had no idea what I was going to do at all, but I was compelled at that time. Actually, I didn't want to squander any years past the age of 39. And why that's significant is my father died when he was 39 years old. And when I got to that age, I realized, wow, like what am I living my life to the absolute fullest and capability that I have? And if I live past him, how will I treat my extra years? And that's really what my thought process was when I decided to leave my job. Anyway, I left, and 6 weeks later, I met someone who introduced me to LegalShield, and here I am today. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. How did you end up in LegalShield? Why that?
Oh, yeah. So when I left my job, I didn't have a plan, quite honestly. I wouldn't recommend that. But when you were in my position that I was, where I literally, like, my skin itched and crawled to even be doing what I was doing anymore. And I loved it up until that point. So that it was kind of strange when it stopped and that passion left me, it was gone. And I realized I had to get out. And so I did. I left, and one morning, my mom texted me, actually, or called me or whatever, and she's like, hey, you want to go to lunch with me, go to a networking meeting? And I was like, that meeting that you go to, once a month with all those old ladies and eat lunch, like, why would I go to that? And she goes, well, it's actually a networking meeting, and all those women are business owners. And I was like, oh, okay. Because I left to go start a business, but I had no idea what the business was going to be. Actually, I was going to be selling some of my vintage stuff in an Etsy store and on eBay, which I did. Okay, but that was my whole vision. That's as far as it went. So it was a Monday at like noon, and of course I normally would have been at work. So my mom called and said, hey, why don't you come to this meeting with me? And I said, fine, I'll go to lunch. And I did. And when everyone stands up at networking meetings and they say what it is that they do, I stood up and I said, hey, I just left my job of like 20-something years, and I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm looking for some sort of business. Anyone got ideas? I'm going to sell some stuff on eBay. Well, someone came up to me afterwards. Donna Sparacco actually came up to me afterwards. She goes, what did you say? What do you mean you just left your job? Like, what are you doing? And I said, I don't know. And she mentioned lawyers and doing something like that. And I was like, I don't need lawyers. What? I'm not interested in that. But I liked her. She was just awesome. Like right away, I'm like, you're cool. I like you. We'll talk again. And that's kind of how we left it. Well, Well, she followed up with me, as you should do, in network marketing. And she followed up with me and invited me to take a look at the information. And it turned out that I knew someone who was involved in it, who had never actually mentioned it to me. So I didn't know. And then, but a couple things happened. First, when I took a look at the information, my initial thought was, whoa, why haven't I known about this thing? Like, what do you mean you can get access to attorneys for like $25 a month? That just made no sense to me at all. Like, I'm like, that's weird. And how come I never knew about it? But when I actually went and looked at the full presentation, because I think that's key, is if you take a look at a full presentation, then you can make your determination about whether or not you think that product or that business is for you. Oftentimes people make a judgment call way before they've ever seen the information. And so I went and took a full look, to not make that judgment call, because I did like her. And I'm like, well, she seems cool. Let me go take a look. But when I found that I knew other people who were involved who were doing very well, and I didn't know what they even did, and I was just like, well, I trust them. Let me go take a look. And I did. And sitting there, I realized, wow, this is the way I could build my empire. This empire that I didn't know what it was going to be like, but I saw enough to go, well, these people are doing it and making all this money, and they seem very cool. Like, I don't know, they're not even better than I am, so I'll figure it out, and that's how I got started. So I signed up and then never looked back.
Well, that's pretty good. So this is the only MLM that you've been involved in then, is that right?
Correct. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Did you have any understanding of MLMs or experience with them in any way before you ended up doing this?
Well, I think I understood a little bit about them from a couple of perspectives. One, my mother was in Mary Kay. She started Mary Kay, I think, the year I was born. So that was a long time. And she did it like for 15 years or something like that. And I remember, now, obviously, I didn't have a context of, okay, this is a multi-level marketing company or network marketing company. I just knew, she had little pink mirrors and little pink lipsticks and, whatever. I just really remember that, And so obviously I had that understanding. But here's what I did know is that, okay, my mom, raised us with that business, so, before she branched out and started doing some other things on her own. So she was always an entrepreneur. So I understood that. And then, of course, I, heard of companies like Amway and whatever. I can't.
Amway and Amway.
That's probably the one I remember. So I guess to say I did not have a lot of experience with them. And so for me, that was not any... It didn't matter to me. I mean, what I saw was a system that was already put in place that people had already been successful in. And what I saw was a product and or service that I needed. Like, I needed legal advice at that time. And I had no way of getting it other than, maybe a free consultation that was going to lead to something more that I couldn't afford. So I was amazed by the service, and that this is something that I felt really that everyone needed, and that it could save lives. It could help people save money. It could help protect their business and their families. Most people don't even deal with the legal system unless something's in trouble, something's broke, or someone's in jail. And then they're trying to figure out how to find the money for it. You guys are lawyers, Many people cannot afford you. So that to me seemed like it made sense that, first off, that system only makes sense to the people who have money to get access to it. For everyone else, you either got to be in jail to even get access. And then that's the only time you're even required to get access to the other, whatever. So anyway, to me, it just seemed like it made sense. So that was the first thing. And then the second thing was, wow, I can understand. They just explained to me, I market a membership, I make this. I can continue marketing memberships, I can continue to make that. Oh, if I choose to recruit someone, which I do not have to do, but if I choose to, and they market something, I get paid for something that they did when I was at home taking a nap. That seems interesting. I didn't know anything about that. That was one of the key factors as well. When they explained to me the idea of residual income and the idea that I can get paid over and over and over again for something I did one time, and I can do that for people who are on my team as well, like an insurance model, because that's exactly what our compensation is mirrored after, is an insurance model. So I'm like, if someone had told me that my car insurance guy is getting paid every single time I pay my car insurance over and over again, I would have gotten insurance a long time ago. But I didn't understand that. No one told me that. I'm like, why are secrets? Why are people keeping secrets like this? I had no clue that was even a thing. And that also made me decide that I needed to start generating my own business, and this residual income magical thing that everyone else seems to know about but Kenyatta, I need to start building that ASAP. So that was also part of it.
So let's break down multi-level marketing systems from the basic standpoint. So usually you're talking about a company that sells a product or a service, and instead of having a traditional brick and mortar place, they have people as their sales force. And they go out and they market that product or service for them, and they earn a commission, and then they recruit people, and those people earn a commission. And you see them in all kinds of shapes and sizes. I think LegalShield has been around for quite a while, and is still very successful. And then, you even see it with companies like Dave Ramsey. People are selling his product and becoming, consultants and mass marketing it for him. I mean, they're building a business within the business, so it works a little bit different. But there's so many different, I think, types of MLMs. And some of the ones that I think people really get into trouble with are the high startup costs. So if you're buying a lot of product for a company and are expected to sell it, I think that's where I see people fail. And they end up in my office looking at bankruptcy or debt settlement or something. And I usually see it in real estate. There's a lot of real estate MLMs popping up these days. People teaching you how to fix and flip.
And then you teach other people how to fix and flip.
And then you teach people how to fix and flip. And then you find deals that you can't finance. And so you give them to, the head guy for a fee.
Ooh, see, that sounds crazy. I didn't know anything about that.
Mm-hmm. There's so many MLMs these days. So that's kind of the fun part.
Yeah, and I think for me, now having been in LegalShield, and then having not only built my own business in LegalShield, but also I'm a recruiter. So I recruit people to my team, and I help coach them grow their businesses. One of the things that what I think about this model, and I think it depends on the company,
mm-hmm.
the product, that the idea of there being a product that people can have an opportunity to build a life and a lifestyle and a business with by marketing the product is brilliant. I mean, I think the idea of it is brilliant in that it's just a different way to market a thing. And a company who creates a product and then gets a whole bunch of people to sell it for them.
Winning.
Winning. Exactly. So that's fantastic. And here's another thing, too, that I learned right away with LegalShield is that our founder, Harlan Stone Cipher, started this company in 1972. And one of his couple of missions that he had was to make sure that every human had access to affordable legal assistance, that everyone had access to equal opportunity and justice, things that they didn't typically have. He wanted everyone to have access. And he also wanted to be the company that had the most millionaires. Like he wanted to create an opportunity for people to have a business and become millionaires with it. So those were his two goals. Everyone get it and have the access and make as many millionaires as we can, right? And I've never had a job where my boss brought me in to sit me down at a table and said, Kenyatta, I want to make you a millionaire. I want all be millionaires. Like nobody says that, So I thought that was very interesting. But the philosophy that he kind of built this business on, and I would hope that all network marketing companies would have the same philosophy, was let's make sure we have a sustainable product that provides value for people, that makes it easy to offer it, that has a compensation plan that you can understand, because I've heard that some are like really confusing. Someone the other day said, we have 8 ways to get paid, and there's all these different binary things. I'm like, what are you talking about? Again, I've only been in one company. This is all I know. So make it easy so people can do it, make it able to be duplicated and everything. And so if all of those things are put in place, I think the idea is brilliant to give people an opportunity to feed their family and build their own empires through it. However, if the product isn't legit and isn't sustainable or is not, good or hurts people or it's fake, I don't know, all the different things that are going on and people are taking advantage of people, then I think that is bad. Obviously that's bad. But it happens. And I think it has happened. And I think that's why people get this idea that all MLMs are bad, and I just don't think that. I think there's many factors that are involved in that.
It's very interesting to hear you talking about this because in one of our prior episodes, I don't know if it was the last one or a couple episodes ago, MLMs came up in the context of the rackets. That's right. It was our last rackets episode. We talked about MLMs, and the way you're talking about them now, I think is pretty much what I said about them then. And that is, if you are a sales-oriented person and you want to work independently and you want to make money by selling people something, An MLM can be a great way to do that. It can be the perfect fit for you because what it gives you is that framework. It gives you a product to sell, a way to fulfill the orders, a structure to get paid with commissions, all of the things that you need as an independent salesperson to focus on your selling process and raking in commissions.
Absolutely.
And people who view it that way and who look at this ecosystem of MLMs as sales opportunities for them to plug themselves into can do extremely well at it. Those are the people who become millionaires at it. Those are the people who do 5, 6, 10 MLMs over the course of their lives and make money on all of them. But people who get sold on the MLM rather than looking at it as a partnership and a framework that they can use, people who get themselves sold on it, drink their own Kool-Aid, one might say, can end up not doing well and often not understanding why they haven't done well. And they can be pretty frustrated with the process. But it really, I think, usually stems from a lack of perspective and a lack of a big picture understanding of what the company is and what their role actually is as an independent salesperson.
Mike, I think you make great points with all of that because, someone can drink their own Kool-Aid about what they think is really going to come of this new business opportunity that they have just joined. So there's two sides of that coin. There's the perception of the new recruit about what they really think is supposed to be happening. And then there's the what they've been told as well by whomever it is that recruited them because, recruiting someone doesn't necessarily make you a good sponsor to that person, right? So there's that component. But then there's the idea that, and I've heard this because obviously as a recruiter, I've talked to many people about joining my business if I feel like they're the right people to do that because I don't offer it to everyone, that people will have quickly said to me, okay, well, I joined that thing and that didn't work. And initially my first question wants to be, well, did you work?
Yeah.
However, that's not always the best question to ask right away. But usually I'm more interested in the business model itself. Like, what was the company and what was the product? And was that aligned with you? Because I think that really has a lot to do with it. I believed in LegalShield. I was going to tell everybody about it anyway. So the fact that they were going to pay me a whole bunch of money to tell people about what I was going to tell people about anyway, that's an easy thing. So I think sometimes people will join a company and they have these ideas that, okay, and maybe they are someone who can just sell something that they don't believe in. I'm not that person. But if someone has tried to do that and failed, then that would make sense because they didn't really care about it. They didn't really like it and they didn't even use it themselves. So that could have been an issue for them. But if they join it with the idea that you said is that if it's done well, it's a system they can plug into literally. Like Larry Smith is my mentor. I'm on his team. He's been in LegalShield like 25 years. And he always says, we get paid for an idea we didn't have and work we don't do. I'm like, brilliant. I'm in. So it is truly a system. And if you follow it as such and you plug into it, then it does work for you. And then there's the ability, at least with our company, because we have kind of two sides to it. And I'll speak to that for a moment because it's something that differentiates what we do from, I think, other types of companies like ours. It's almost like we're half multi-level marketing or network marketing, whatever you want to call it, direct sale company. And the other half is like an insurance company. Now, I don't know any other direct sale companies that are like insurance companies. And the reason I say that is because what we offer is offered as a voluntary employee benefit to companies. So companies like Disney or whatever, it doesn't matter. Any company can offer it to their employees as a benefit. And so that makes us extremely unique as well because someone could start the company and recruit and build a team and do straight network marketing, or they can come in, they can work with small business owners and protect them or protect the employees, or they can just market memberships and never recruit and never talk to an HR person. So there's a lot of options in there, which again, I think differentiates what we do from other companies that maybe just sell candles per se. You can't offer candles as a voluntary employee benefit.
You can only buy so many candles and give so many candles as gifts.
True. You could, and we don't have a garage full of attorneys or anything like that. We're not selling that type of product, which again is what I love because again, you have to find the product that makes sense to you, the service that makes sense to you, and then plug into the system and follow the direction of the people who are trying to look out for you, your sponsors. And if you believe in the company and the way things are done and you work, I guess we should just go there, work your business. you have a lot of now, I'm not saying people don't work their business. I'm saying people don't work their business and they wonder why it doesn't work. Yeah. They wonder why they don't make money, because you've got to do the thing. You've got to reach out to people. You have to share the information. You have to follow up. And some people say, well, okay, well, I don't want to do sales. And I'm not a salesperson. I say, okay, well, great. That's fine. But what do you really interpret sales to be? Like, that's how I look at it. Like, is sales like a transference of belief? Like, I think this is great. Maybe you should have it, and I'm going to tell you about it. And if you want it, then great. Okay, then yeah, then we do sales. Is sales like follow up after I told you about it and I asked you to take a look at some information and you didn't, and I got to follow up to see if you did, or if you did, then I need to follow up and see what you thought about it and then ask you if you want to participate. Okay, then that's what we do. However you look at it, okay, that's what happens. So if you believe in the product and you actually think other people should have it, then you shouldn't keep it a secret.
That's an interesting point. I think a lot of people don't think they're good at sales, and most of them are right. Let's be straightforward about that. Most of them are right. But for a very long time, I didn't think that I would be good at sales. And I say would be because I hadn't really tried it. I hadn't been in any kind of a sales position. And it didn't occur to me that perhaps I actually had that skill set. I don't even know why that is, that it didn't occur to me, but I just was working from the assumption that I wasn't a salesperson. And part of it is because I tend to be rather introverted. That doesn't come across as much professionally because I'm good at being extroverted when I need to be. But it's not something that feels natural to me. So I assumed that I wasn't doing a good job of it. And once I got into my professional life, and really I didn't realize this until not that long ago, well into my career, before I realized that I actually have a great sales skill set. I actually could sell sand in the desert. I can sell wood.
You sold yourself to Rochelle.
At sales.
You sold yourself to Rochelle, and she's still with you, so you're selling yourself every day to her.
Exactly. So,
the luckiest
a lot of
woman
people
ever.
Oh, my dear. So, I guess what I'm getting at here is a lot of people who think they're not good at sales are right, but some of them are not. Some of you out there who don't feel comfortable with a sales process or haven't really given it a try or feel like you wouldn't be good at it, you actually can do it, and it's not what you expect it to be. And you may find that you really enjoy it. I certainly do. But as Kenyatta mentioned, you've got to be selling something you believe in. While I probably could sell wood to lumberjacks or sand in the desert, that wouldn't make me feel good, and I'm not going to do that. Sales doesn't have to be a negative, manipulative process. Well, let me correct that. It's always a manipulative process. But you have to do it in a way that you're morally comfortable with and selling a product that you're comfortable selling to the people you're selling it to for the price you're selling it. If you can feel good after the sale about not only the money that you've made from it, but also what you've provided to somebody else and what they've obtained for their money, then you can feel a lot better about the tricks you used to get them to like you and love your product.
Well, it's really down to communication, right? And communication is, two people exchanging information, and usually communication is done with the idea that there's some sort of outcome that people are looking for. You're trying to get someone to do something. Either you're trying to get the kid to go take out the trash, so you're communicating, do that, or you're trying to get someone to take a look at a video about your business, or come sit down and listen to or have a presentation about how you can help them. I mean, really, we're all selling something to someone at some point, whether it be, your spouse or your kids or whatever. It's like, hey, I'd like to do this thing. Would you like to do this with me? Okay, that's the sales process. Let's go to, we're not going anywhere now, but let's meet on a Zoom call. Would you like to meet on a Zoom call with me? Oh, no? Oh, okay, cool. All right. You let it go. So again, but the fear, right, and the challenge comes from people being considered or being concerned about rejection. No one wants to be told no. No one wants to feel inadequate. No one wants to feel like whatever. I mean, all this stuff we just make up in our heads that hold us back. And so again, okay, so let me shift gears to that. Personal development. That's the one thing I love about LegalShield and about what I've learned being a part of a company like this. And it probably happens in lots of other network marketing companies, I would assume. But LegalShield for me literally was, and someone said it to me like this, a personal development program with a compensation plan attached to it. And the reason that is because who I've become being a part of an organization like this has changed my life forever. Literally forever. Now, I was already cool before that. So not like there's anything wrong with me before, but was I my best self? Had I had the experience and been by the people I needed to and read the books that I needed to and had the challenges that I put myself in front of to grow in the way that I wound up growing? I don't know. Those things could have happened in some other way, possibly. But I know for me, joining a company like this, surrounded by people who believed enough in a product like a legal service, because that's different. Okay, so the people that are in this company, that stay in this company, we've been around since 1972. I know people have been in it for 30 years, okay? Why would they still be selling the same product 30 years later? It's because the nature of it is what we do. And you two being attorneys, you understand the value you can bring to a person when the knowledge that you went to school for can help them with their life. Now, I didn't have to go to school for that. Again, I get to pay for an idea I didn't have and work I don't do, right? But I can connect them with attorneys who can help them do that. And I think that's really powerful. That's a powerful thing to get access to our justice system. So the people who stay in this company who've done it a long time are a certain type of individual. And they have a certain amount of things that they share with others who come in to help them grow personally and professionally at the same time. So Jim Rohn says you're the average of the 5 people you spend most of your time with. So, and if you hang out with 5 broke people, you're going to become the 6th. And if you hang out with 5 wealthy people, you're going to become the 6th. So I heard that and I'm like, who do I need to be hanging out with? Right? Because what does that mean? So I surrounded myself with a bunch of millionaires going, yeah, right? Because the conversations that people who are successful and ambitious and encouraging and have the right mindset have around a coffee table are very different than a conversation that people have where they live in a place of lack and misery and lack of motivation and whatever it is that they put on themselves, right? So I, put myself in positions to learn and grow from those around me who are willing to teach me. And I think that is one of the biggest benefits that I've gotten from LegalShield is the people that I've met that changed my life to where now here I am 6 years later with a coaching business, Freedom Empire Consulting. I found a way to build my freedom empire, and it isn't just LegalShield. I thought LegalShield was the vehicle for me, and it did start out that way, but now I see it's a wheel on my vehicle because I'm so much bigger than LegalShield and have so much more to offer. So that's another thing for someone thinking about a network marketing company is that it doesn't necessarily have to be your end-all be-all unless you choose to, but it could open up your eyes and your mind to other ways that you can bring value to the world and get yourself out of whatever walls that you're standing behind about why you can't have what you want in life. That might be something that could help you anyway. So
I have a question for you, Kenyatta. No, it's good. All good. I love your stories. So why don't you walk us through, a typical week with Kenyatta? Like, what does your week look like? Like, let's start on Sunday and go through Saturday. Like, what are you doing? The hustle is real.
So if we start on Sunday, Sunday is my personal development day. So what does that mean? I'm in a couple of masterminds that I am in where we read books and we talk about the books and we talk about our businesses and things like that. Actually, I'll show you 2 of them right now. 12-Week Year is one of them, and High Performance Habits. These are 2 books that I've been reading repeatedly for probably the last 2 years. But I live on a 12-week year cycle. But I also have my own mastermind, behavioral mastermind, where I'm a coach. So my Sunday really is spent on Zoom calls, either doing my own learning, school, if you will, or I'm teaching others. And that's a lot of my Sunday. And then I spend the rest of the time working on my 12-week year, my calendar, preparing for the next week. Now, as we go through the week, because I am a networker and I also teach at a community college, I teach a personal development course to students who are about to get their GEDs. And so depending if I've got to do that, it can be peppered with appointments where I'm networking or meeting with clients meeting with clients or teaching the class, right? Or I am compartmentalizing the time that I need to spend for prospecting, either be for my LegalShield business or my coaching business. And now the coaching business is growing in such a way where I have to spend a lot of time doing that because I'm learning different platforms and building my website and my online training courses. So it's mixed with things like that. Now, COVID, BC, before COVID, I would be spending time driving around, going to do all the things I just said. Now I do it all from home. So I'm still doing the same thing. So it really is just a mix of taking a look at what let me back up. I know what I want out of my life. I have an aspirational vision of what my freedom empire will look like, short term and long term. So on a weekly basis, the 12-week year helps me to compartmentalize what I need to be focusing on in the next 12 weeks based on that aspirational vision, because I can't do everything at once. So I really have to be strategic about that. And then based on the 12-week year vision and what I'm supposed to be doing in the next 12 weeks dictates what I should be doing from week to week, day to day, hour to hour, minute to minute. Now, for someone like me, my behavioral superpower, I'm an influencer, and I'm a fast-paced, outgoing influencer who's extremely abstract, very results-focused, completely daring, and totally flexible. And that doesn't always serve me because I have to force myself to be structured, whereas someone like you, Rochelle, who is a strategist, who's extremely reserved and planned, you don't have to force yourself to do that. You've already got it mapped out on some Excel spreadsheet. I don't have anything like that. I have to force myself into that. Okay. And Mike, I think you're more like me in that. You're the initiator. You're very flexible too. You're kind of like, you'll go with it. Right. And so I have to find the structure in order to accomplish what I want. But that does not come easy, but that comes through personal development. So my week, I got my plan, and it's peppered with, again, personal development, training, helping my clients, either teaching my class, networking, and then social media, because that's another way that I build my business is network. That's networking. I put that in the networking. So, and then dog walking, yoga, bike riding, and I used to actually hang out with people in person.
I can vouch for that. You actually did.
Yeah, all the time.
All the time. I would just show up, hey, Yeah, so I don't really do that anymore.
I think that's pretty similar to our work weeks. We do a lot of planning, a lot of execution, networking, the marketing, lots of work. We have to do the legal work.
Yeah, yes, you do.
Most of the time.
Because we also do not have a garage full of attorneys to sell.
Right.
Not that I don't love what I do, but it does take a lot of time.
I guess I do have a garage full of 3 other attorneys.
Yeah, you totally do. What are you talking about?
We have other people that help us.
Yes.
Couldn't do it all. Need a team.
Yep.
Need
You
a
gotta have a team.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of having a team, that's pretty much just what we were talking about with MLMs.
Yeah.
Bringing that back to our topic for today, that is the infrastructure that they provide. They give you the team.
A team. Management,
yeah.
upline, support, an entire marketing department.
Yep.
When you're a small business owner, you've got to create all of that from scratch.
Right. Seriously. And I'm figuring that out for my freedom empire. I gotta figure that out. I miss when I'm dealing with something like that. I'm glad that I also have LegalShield. They build my website. They handle, they film all the videos and edit them.
Video editing sucks.
They do that. I gotta do that for myself. I love, because again, the framework is, if it's a good company, they've done the work to give you what you need to be successful. It's just about whether you're going to use it or not. So, at LegalShield, our home office is in Ada, Oklahoma, which, if you don't know where that is, I don't think anybody does, but it's spelled the same way, backwards.
Interesting.
In the world that we recognize. So, Ada, Oklahoma, there's like 800 employees who work there, who have everything set up to support what we do and what we need, and I don't have to come up with that. That's another beauty of the network marketing model, is that someone else is doing all that stuff for you and giving you the tools, and whether you use them or not, that's up to you.
So what are your Kenyatta pro tips for people that are thinking about starting a network marketing, especially now we're in BC? Some people are looking for an opportunity to make extra money or finding themselves unintentionally unemployed and need to figure out their next steps. So what are Kenyatta's pro tips for starting in network marketing? If you're going to join an MLM, what are the top 3 things you should do?
Well, number 1, you should look at LegalShield.
Love it.
That would be number one. You should just reach out to me and I will share some information with you about LegalShield. Okay, that's a simple one. Because again, it's the first one I joined and the only one I'm in, and I just feel like it's worth taking a look. So, because it's extremely unique. So look at my company, but look at other companies to figure out what it is that you want to do. And I think you just really need to find a product that you believe in, that you would, participate in using the product yourself. You feel like your mother, you would sell it to your mother, if you like your mom and you like your dad and your family and you think that they should have it, then it should be the same thing. Because if it's not, you just have to ask yourself why you would offer it to anyone if you wouldn't offer it to the people that you care about.
Good point.
So that's like thing one. And it may not be LegalShield for you because you don't care about that, but figure out what that thing is and then start there. Then when you join the organization, realize no matter what anybody tells you who recruits you into the business, because they're going to be speaking to you from their perspective of what they've experienced and what they know, you need to simply realize that it's your business. Like you have to become a student of your business, meaning you have to study it. You've got to go to the trainings. You have to go in your back office if you have one and look at the product. You know what? You even have to look at your own website that the company gives you. Like you should look at that, and you should read what it says, right? If you have the product, you should use it so that you become a product of the product. You should
learn the business.
Yeah, I don't know the other way to say it is learn the business and realize that it's your business. It's not anyone else's business. So, and here's the thing, business ownership and having that type of independence, everyone's not built for that. Meaning some people really, and you can cultivate those skills, but some people are built literally just have someone tell them what to do. Go to work this time, come home this time, here's what you do when you're at work, right? This is not that. Like you have to develop the personal development that you need to find the discipline, self-motivation. Don't expect anyone to do any of that for you. I tell my GED students this, and I'll tell you the same thing if you're listening to this. No one's coming to save you. No one, because no one cares more about you than you. They're worried about their own stuff. So even if you've got a good sponsor and a good team and a good people who are supporting you, they're running their own business. So you need to be accountable to you and realize, you know what, if I really want this to work, I really just need to put in the work and not put blame on other people, because that's a downfall. That will be the death of you. As soon as you start blaming everyone else for what's happening in your business or your life, then you give up the power to change it. So that would be, I guess, one of the pro tips is own your own stuff and stop blaming other people for your lack of success. And if you fail, it's your fault. And if you succeed, guess whose fault it is? Yours.
I love it. I love it. All right. So what are 3 things people shouldn't do when they start a new network marketing job?
That's a really hard one. I'm not really sure about that one, because I think everyone's got to go through their own learning journey, right? Their own learning curve, and figure out what's not going to work for them. And what might work for someone else might not work for some people. Some people say, okay, if you believe in the product you want to share with other people, then you need to start with your warm market, right? The people who are closest to you, who you care about, and who may listen to you. But what you may find is when doing that they're, how did someone say to me? Oh, the ones who you think will, won't, and the ones who you think won't, will.
Yep.
And so there is no tried and true to any of that. So to say what not to do, I think it's just really hard, other than what I just said a minute ago, is don't blame other people. So don't do that. Like, don't be mad because, someone hasn't called you or someone didn't make you go to whatever. I just think that people need to take ownership of the process as well, and not be upset when other people aren't reaching down and grabbing you and picking you up and making you come do something. You should just really take the ownership. So I guess the don't is don't think that someone else is going to do it for you. Take ownership. I
think there's a don't that we can talk about here at this point too, and that is in picking your MLM. There are a number of considerations that you've got to think about. And you talked a little bit, Kenyatta, about picking something that you're comfortable selling to your friends and family. Not that you should force your MLM on your friends and family, but you should be comfortable with the idea of them participating in it. Many of them probably will participate in it. If it doesn't go well, you're on the hook for that with your friends and family. So you got to pick something that you really are comfortable supporting and having the people in your life learn about in detail, something that you're not going to have a problem standing up for later.
Yep.
But beyond that, you've got to pick an MLM that can actually thrive, at least in the near term. And Kenyatta, you picked LegalShield, and that's great. And they are one of the long-standing successful MLMs in this country. They've been around for decades, along with Mary Kay, along with Amway, along with a few others that are sort of the traditional, classic, successful MLMs. But those do not form the bulk of the MLM business in America, I don't think. I think what we tend to see more of are the ones that rise and fall rather quickly. Things like Herbalife, things like, is Juice Plus one of those?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean,
a lot of those products are great, but here's the catch. You can only eat so many vitamins.
Mm-hmm.
And and that extrapolates to things other than just vitamins.
Yes.
When the MLM is pushing a product that has inherently limited demand, and it becomes very popular, and you start to see a lot of participation and engagement in that MLM, my opinion and my advice is it's over. You missed the boat on that one. If everybody knows about it and it's a big booming thing that's a household name already, and it's selling something that not everyone is going to buy, that not every single person must continue to consume in order to live, that's not going to work out in the long run. There is a natural life cycle to many of these companies. Sometimes it rises and falls in the course of a year. Sometimes it rises and falls over a decade. But either way, getting in on the downslope is a losing proposition, and that is how you end up with a garage full of vitamins. That is how you end up losing a lot of money by buying into and purchasing a lot of supplies and dedicating a lot of time to something that's already essentially saturated or will become saturated very shortly. So that's tough. You can't always predict it well, but you can predict it most of the hard part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the other don't is, don't be so aggressive in your sales approach.
Yep.
Like a lot of newbies in any new marketing, like whether it's network marketing, MLMs, or a new representative for a company, you come off a little strong with your commission breath. You got to take a step back. A lot of sales is based on relationships and getting to know people, and people are buying you in a lot of ways. So you need to just, take a step back and let people know what your product is, but don't be too pushy. The sales will happen. You got to sow seeds and they will grow.
Right. And I think that ultimately too, and that's true with any company or any product, right? It's just that process of figuring out a way to share your information with people in a way that they'll receive it.
Yes.
And it comes to personal development. It's not even sales training. It's personal development. It's you and how you approach conversations with other people, how you think about yourself. Because I think a lot of times some of that behavior might come from a person's own interpretation of themselves. And therefore they put that out there in such a way. But if you do the work that you need to do on you up here, then you have a better chance of being able to communicate with people in such a way that can be a productive conversation and not an off-putting one. So it goes back to, who you are and how you view yourself, your own self-awareness and acknowledgement of those behaviors. Your behavioral superpower, just saying.
We're big fans. We'll talk about that next week during our Sip Happens. Mixing business and pleasure.
There is something I want to share too, because this might come along with, again, picking the company and then how you go to approach it. A couple things, a couple books that I want to share that for good reason. One, this is the personal development one. If you haven't read this one, then this is a great place to even be thinking about, what is it, maybe what you should even be doing. Maybe it isn't even network marketing. I don't know. Have you done the work to even figure out? Because this is, again, here's a don't don't think of your network marketing situation as a short-term thing. Like, Mike, you were kind of alluding to that, right? The company that you've been in, like, if you think you're going to spend the time to get in it, typically it's not a one and done. It's not a get rich quick or anything like that. And if anybody's told you that, I don't know how that works. So, it's something that when I joined LegalShield, I knew I was going to be LegalShield for life, and I am. And so as I think about my own vision of my life, this fits very well into that. So that's something to be thinking about as well. It's not like you're going to be in it 6 months and then be gone. And then this book right here is written by someone who's actually in LegalShield, and his name is Brian Carruthers. And this book I got it the first year I was in the business. And it's interesting because, remember, I left my job I'm going to go build my own empire. I had no idea what that meant. And when people ask me, I'm like, I don't know. I'm going to build an empire. I've helped all you build yours in education or whatever. I was really good at what I did for the schools I worked for. And I felt like I was helping them build their empire. And then a few months in the LegalShield, I go to a meeting and there's a table in the back and this book's back there. And I was like, that's interesting. Maybe I should read it. And so I read it, and basically it is a manual for network marketing, not in LegalShield, just in general. This particular gentleman, I think he's on his $17th million that he's made in LegalShield, and he used to be in real estate, and he's a massive real estate empire, his whole family. And then one day someone introduced him to LegalShield, and he's like, that's interesting. And he started the business and he followed the system. And then here he wrote what that is. And this is for any network marketing company. So I read it and I followed it. So study your business. Okay. That's the one thing. And the next thing is when you start making money, depending on wherever you are, you make a little bit or you make a lot, you need to understand the finance piece of it and things I didn't understand always. And I made a bunch of money at a job, and then I get into a business and I'm like, oh snap, there's a whole nother ball game here, right? It's a whole different scenario. So I mentioned Larry Smith earlier. I'm on his team. He's been in here like 25 years, okay? And he wrote this book just recently called Dare to Get Rich. And in it, he tells the story of when he started LegalShield at 44, made his first $1 million in 4 years, and I think he's up to like his 7th million, in this business. And this is my coach and my trainer, and this book is about finance and money, and not like it's more about his story and his journey and what he didn't know and how many mistakes he made along the way until he learned. And so he teaches you how to handle the success that you have in a company like this when you start to have it, and how without education you may find yourself in a bind, and how you need to really take your business seriously and understand money. And so whatever company you do find, there's some learning things that have to come along with that, because when you start making money and you're like, oh, I got this money, but there's other things that come into it. Again, it's a business, it's not a hobby. And if it is a hobby, then you're going to make hobby money, but doesn't have to be the case.
Or you're going to lose hobby money.
Or you're going to lose hobby money.
Or you're going to lose business money.
Yeah, losing business money sucks.
Nobody wants to lose business money.
Yeah. Everyone's got to learn their own way. And my advice is to figure out ways to get the knowledge ahead of time, and so that you can avoid as many potholes as possible.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that point about understanding the financial aspect of it. Like any business, you have to know what the numbers are, and how many prospects do you have? How many people are you converting? What's your conversion rate? How many hours are you spending at that networking group? And are you getting anything out of it? Mm-hmm. These are things that you have to be able to know. How much money are you making? How much money are you spending? I see so many people that, end up needing financial advice just because they've lost a lot of money doing networking or any type of MLM or any type of business. You just kind of, if you don't know where money's going, it's kind of hard to say that you're making it.
Right. And that's something that some people have to learn. They're just not automatically having that knowledge.
Everyone has to learn that.
We have to learn that and get the education. Talk to people like yourselves or somebody who's going to just explain that piece to you, because the person who recruited you into the business might not necessarily be the best person to teach you those things. And so again, you've got to seek the knowledge. One of the things I coached to in my GED class, we talk about, living the life you want and creating the financial empire that you want, right? And like, for instance, your parents, whoever your parents are, I'm just using that as an example. Mm-hmm. If they don't live the type of lifestyle that you want for yourself, how can you expect them to teach it to you? You have to go find that somewhere else, right? And so don't blame them for not being able to teach you, just like you shouldn't, blame your sponsor or your recruit or the person who recruited you for not telling you everything, because they don't even know what you need to know sometimes, right? So you have to go find it. So it goes back to ownership. Whatever network marketing company you join, and there's a lot, you've got to own it and realize that you're an independent associate with that company. Independent, meaning there's some independence there. You need to and then you have the freedom to turn it into whatever you want, just like I have. Again, I thought LegalShield was a vehicle. Now I understand it's a wheel on my vehicle. There's other components. And so I've got this one vehicle, this one wheel that's doing its thing, and I'm still building it, and I'm still recruiting into it, but now I get residual income. This thing that I heard people like him talk about, he makes over $500,000 a year if he never even did anything else, And I'm like, wait a minute. You said what? Like, if you didn't sell one more membership, you still make that money? Well, I'm part of his team, so I'm out there working, helping him make that kind of money. He's not doing anything. No, let me say that. Larry, it's not like he's not doing anything. He's doing a lot.
But he has no influence over he is not directly involved in what you're doing.
Correct. He's there to help
you do benefits.
Absolutely. He does 3-way calls for me. I mean, like, he's doing presentations every single night. So he's doing a lot. But if he never sold another membership himself personally, he has a team. So he has other people who are out there working their businesses that are feeding into his business, which is a brilliant model. Brilliant model. So again, the residual income is real, depending on the company, because I'm just talking about LegalShield. Okay. But when I start getting a deposit in my bank account every single day for memberships I sold 5 years ago, I was like, oh my God, what? Again, find the right company. If you believe in it, build it, work it, and it will have the rewards for you later, because I will be getting paid again and again and again for the life of these memberships. And that's a beautiful thing. I wish someone had told me about this sooner.
But that's why we're doing today's show, is so that people can shorten their learning curve.
Don't keep it a secret. We're not secret service agents. I tell people that if you got something good, then tell people about it, because there's someone out there who probably needs your service or your product. Don't be afraid. I guess those are some don'ts. Don't be afraid, of a no, because really just means not right now. It could mean later. Who knows?
And I knows to get a yes, right?
Yeah. And here's the thing. Our job is to tell people so that they can make an educated decision. Larry Smith always says, we put information in front of people, let them get their questions answered, and let them make an educated decision. And so if they say no, great. But when they say yes, they know to call you. So it's not about, oh my God, they said no. That's your job. Oh yeah, that's your job. Okay, to tell people so that they can say no. All right. And then when they say yes, they know to call you and not go onto the company's, website.com and purchase it there. Instead, they would call you and go, hey, you told me about that thing. I still have people from my first year calling me going, you still doing that legal thing? I'm like, yeah. They're like, can I get that? I'm like, yes, you can. And I'm so glad they called me, though. But what if I didn't tell them? And I haven't told everyone, by the way. I haven't got around to every single person that I know. And I'm always meeting new people. So that's a process. But again, I'm LegalShield for life. This is my business. Like, I feel like I'm literally standing on the lawn, part of a revolution. I think about Martin Luther King all the time. Standing on the lawn, giving a speech, and all the people in the crowd going, yeah, I hear what he's saying up there, but we got a lot of work to do. To get people really believing that this is going to be the way things should be. But I'm here on the lawn because I believe it and I support it, and I'm still going to be telling people about it. That's how I feel about LegalShield, in the sense that it's the idea is to revolutionize the legal system so that everyone get access to people like Rochelle and Mike, because not everyone can afford them, right? But everyone deserves access to them. So how do we make that happen? Not everyone gets it. Not everyone believes it. But I'm standing on that lawn right now going, I'm just going to keep telling people. And someday someone's going to realize they need it and they're going to get it. And one day everyone's going to have it. And that's how I look at this particular service. So
that's a darn good perspective. And I think it's very important for people to look at their businesses and their sales activities from that kind of a perspective. You've got to integrate it with your personal philosophy. You've got to understand how what you're doing fits into a bigger picture of society. And in some cases, there may not be a huge connection there. If you're selling candles, you're making people happy, you're making their homes smell nice, there are a lot of good things about that. It's not life-changing, it's not revolutionizing the justice system, but candles are nice. And I say that in comparison, yes, we all love candles. I really like candles. I think they're great, actually. I could sell candles to somebody who's already in a candle store. But I think it pays to think about those bigger questions of what you're doing and what you're doing for society by doing what you're doing. And many people find a greater connection to their work through doing that. And certainly you have, Kenyatta, and I know Rochelle and I certainly have. Mm-hmm. So that's an important thing for people to think about. It's not just about making money, and it's not just about being independent in your professional life. All of these things have some greater impact on the people that you sell to and the rest of society. And in some cases, it may be just putting a smile on somebody's face when they light a nice smelling candle. In other cases, it may be getting them off an unjust criminal charge, or helping them deal with an unreasonable business in a litigation dispute. There's a lot that you can do through network marketing sales to help people and to feel good about what you're doing.
Absolutely. I see in this thing, there's a live commenter. Do you guys see that?
Yes.
Named Bobby.
Hey, Bobby.
Hey, Bobby.
Love you.
Yes. What did Bobby say? Do we know what Bobby said? I don't know.
Yeah,
yes.
We know Bobby.
Oh, okay.
We know her. Well, I write about sales and how it's all about selling yourself and knowing your business.
Absolutely. And Kenyatta, to circle back a little bit to what you were saying quite a bit earlier about the sales training and learning about your product, it's important. It's very important. And I think a lot of people who go into network marketing may not have been in a sales position in a large company before. So they don't necessarily know what goes into training and managing a sales staff for a complicated product. But let me tell you, it is not a free-for-all, and you are not going out there without support. Instead, you go through tremendous training, continuous training.
Yes.
You're always getting pulled in for training, learning all of the details of these products, learning how to sell those details, how to talk about them, what characterizations to use to help people understand things. It is extensive. And that kind of support is available in good MLMs, including LegalShield. Those resources are there. And as Rochelle mentioned, these companies have marketing departments. They have full-time staff responsible for marketing. Your sales, but sales and marketing are slightly distinct. And the marketing department is there to support the sales team and help the product get sold. So you don't have to edit your videos. You don't have to do your own graphics. In fact, I'm sure you're not allowed to. They control that stuff. Consistent branding. So you are the interface with the people, but you've got a whole system behind you, this corporate behemoth of marketing, training, product materials, product development. I mean, all of that stuff.
You just got to plug in. You got to plug into it because it's there, So
absolutely.
Good stuff. Well, thank you, Kenyatta, and this was a fun conversation. So tell our listeners and viewers how they can reach you.
Oh, yeah. My name's Kenyatta Turner, and you can actually reach me. You can go directly to my website. I'll give you that. It's kenyattaturner.wearelegalshield.com, and that's KENYATTATURNER. .wearelegalshield.com. You can contact me through there. You can actually just call me. My number's easy, 602-367-1069, if you have any other questions or anything like that. So, and I'm on LinkedIn and social.
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys. Thank you. We love talking to you, and it's always nice to see your face.
Absolutely.
BC, we hung out quite a bit.
yes, we did. And we will HC too.
Yes, we will. And thank you to our sponsors, Phoenix Business RadioX, super awesome, and to Karen for always being amazing in the background. And, of course, to our other sponsor, the Arizona Credit Law Group, one of my law firms where we help people with debt settlement, credit repair, and bankruptcy. And you can find us online at azclg.com.
And I'm Mike Fulton with the law firm Fulton and Royan, and you can find us online at www.pnlaw.pro. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next time.